This week we are doing family meal, dinner, favorites, traditions, things like that. Things that you just have always kind of put with Christmas dinner. And for me, that would be sweet and sour meatballs. That was always the best part of Christmas Eve with the family get-together, was sweet and sour meatballs. So that's become a tradition that we make every year, and it goes right alongside the turkey, or chicken in our case, because we don't raise turkey. Anyways, I'll bring you back when we're ready to go here. So we're starting off with our 2 pounds of ground beef. You could do this with a mixture of beef and pork, or we've sometimes done it with lamb for ourselves because that's a meat that we have. But basically you want 2 pounds of lean meat. We're going to put 1 egg in there, like that. And I've already pre-cut up so I didn't have to cry on camera. 1 medium onion, diced pretty small. You know, you don't want the little balls falling apart because the onions. Again, this is just something I have made for years. I don't necessarily have measurements. I put in Worcestershire sauce, and we just do a couple little squirts of that. Sprinkle salt and pepper. Like that. And then you want 2 cloves of garlic pressed here. Pressed, you can buy the store-bought stuff or straight cloves, whichever works easiest for you. There we are, 2 cloves of garlic. Let's get that all off there. All right. And now we basically are just mixing that sort of together. The other thing that I use is soda crackers as breadcrumbs. And kind of just a handful. Let's see, what is that there? Let's say 10. 10 soda crackers in 2 pounds. And I just crushed them right up and nice and small. You can use breadcrumbs. You could use actual bread and just break it up. There's many different options on that. But that's basically everything in our meatballs. So we're going to get our hands dirty, which were pre-washed, of course, before cooking. I don't worry too much about some of the cracker crumbs being bigger. I find they just absorb more of the sauce and the flavor. So as long as they're small enough that the meatballs don't fall apart when you cook them. So once we have that kind of all mixed in, like that, we basically just roll them 1.5 inch size. Put them on the plate. You can make them whatever size you want. I personally like them to be kind of like 2-bite. It's a great potluck type Christmas meal, which is what we always had on Christmas Eve, was kind of a big potluck with the family. But I will get the rest of these onto the tray here, and then I'll bring you back when it's time to put them in the oven. Now, I should also mention the oven is preheating at 375 to cook these up first. All right, so we have our meatballs all made, ready on the tray, and our oven is up to temperature. So we're going to pop those in and let them cook probably about 30 minutes or so. And I check them because sometimes I make them bigger, sometimes I make them smaller, and you don't want them overcooked. And while that's going on, we're going to make our sauce in the pot, and then once these are ready, they'll just be added right to the sauce, and you can just let it simmer on the oven until you're ready to go. So, or slow cooker actually is great if you're taking them to a potluck or something like that. Slow cooker is a great way to also do that with the sauce and then put the meatballs in. So another thing that's very great about this recipe too is you can make these meatballs, pre-cook them, then freeze them, so that when it comes time to whip them out for that Christmas dinner, they're ready to go, and it's super easy. So we're going to put them in the oven, and we'll come back when they're ready. All right, so our meatballs are just about ready in the oven to be taken out. So we're going to get started on our sauce. basically when I make my meatballs, I like to use a pineapple sweet and sour sauce. So I start with 1 can of pineapples. I take them out and get them all sliced up, ready to go. Put a little bit of oil in my pan, probably about 2 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more than that. Once that is good and hot, I have, these are just our sweet Italian red peppers that we grew out of the garden this year. So I'm just going to put a couple handfuls of those in to get them frying up. One pretty good handful. We like sweet peppers in our sauce. So we're going to put them and the pineapples in. Be sure to reserve the juice from those pineapples because we will need it for the sauce. But I just kind of cut them into bite-sized chunks. And they're going in there as well. And we'll just get those started to cook. I'll tip that up. You can see it's very bright and colorful. So as you can see, it's steaming away there, cooking up. So we're going to keep going with our sauce. 1/2 cup of brown sugar, kind of lightly packed. Get that in there. Oops, let me get it in here. 1/2 cup of ketchup. We use our own homemade ketchup, but you can use store-bought as well. It's quite an easy recipe, really. 1/2 cup of white vinegar. Kind of give that a stir about. Now we want 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Oh, I hear my meatballs just sizzling away in the oven. So there's our 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Here's where our pineapple juice comes into play. We've left the remaining juice in the can, and then I've topped it up almost to full with water. Now you're going to add 3 tablespoons of cornstarch to this to thicken your sauce. And it has come to a boil, which means this will work perfectly for timing. Make sure it's all kind of dissolved first. Nothing worse than tipping it over and it's all stuck on the bottom. There we are. So I'll just dump that in. Bring that to a boil and it should thicken up nicely. And then we'll put our meatballs in. So it's thickened up very nice to a gorgeous sauce. And there's our meatballs ready to go in. So I'll get them all in and I'll bring you back for the final picture. And there we go. Meatballs are all in there, looking tasty. Tonight we're going to be eating this with rice. But at Christmas dinner it's usually with mashed potatoes, but tonight it's going to be with rice. Anyways, that's our final dish for the Very Merry Homesteady cooking collaboration for Christmas. It is a great time of year to try new cooking and also keep going with that old traditional cooking. So on that note, I'm going to finish making the rest of our dinner and we'll see you guys again soon.